Okay, I didn't catch that stream. What was your thoughts on that?
But the Proenza designers going to Loewe.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be a good fit because I don't see their clothing as playful. JW Anderson is the like literally the king of playfulness in fashion right now. So I
yeah,
just how are you going to go from like a designer that's ultra playful to designers that are more known for like a clean cut, nice
subdued.
dresses,
Yeah,
subdued, minimal. I don't get it.
yeah. That's kind of that was kind of like my feelings and thoughts upon hearing that. To be fair, and plus, W Anderson had a generational run at Loewe.
Bro,
Like,
generational is an understatement. Understatement,
bro,
bro.
uh, I'm even be yeah, because I'm even being nice about it. Like, he absolutely, you know what? Let me not even go too far. But the one thing I did want to say about W Anderson at Loewe
Right.
was I feel like this is LVMH's end game. Just this whole musical chairs thing that's happening. Because what are they actually gonna do with this next phase of LVMH? Can they really carry on this
No, they're
generational thing
cooked. I think they're
happening?
cooked.
Because it's improbable that they've been going this ham for 10 years.
I
Like
just
JW
don't.
Anderson,
Yeah.
10 years. Kim Jones has been at LVMH for 10 years. Like,
More
ev-
than 10 years.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah, more than 10 years. But like, it's just great. Like, all of this is crazy. Menswear
So
and women's wear.
So the thing is, with
Celine,
with this point, I
oh,
agree in terms of like, I think having new designers for these houses would be a great idea. But the problem is, the thing about fashion is designers build relationships with journalists over time. I mean, I feel like there's with every designer you can give them a journalist pairing. Like when I think of Demna, I think of Kathy Horan. When I think of Versace, I think of Tim Blanks. So, as a designer, if you've been in the industry for long enough, you have that journalist that's going to fight for you and be behind your back and have your best interests and also make sure that they control the narrative around your brand. New designers, no one cares. That's why, see, when Sean McGear did that debut collection, like people just went ham because he doesn't have those relationships the same way. And if these companies want to make more money, low key, they kind of have to, they want to just keep growing, and don't want to go down in any way. I don't
yeah.
see how they could have just a full set of new designers. I don't think it would work.
And I think new designers are arrogant in a way, in the sense where they think they can just make a collection and go and just design and not have to say anything or speak to anyone and disappear and do the whole Playboy Carti thing and only drop when they feel like it. I don't want to do 8 collections a year. Like, it's kind of wild. In
Well,
the idea of this is a $1 billion company, you
with that
think you can
mentality,
just
they'll be
act
out of a job in no time.
like, you can't
No
just
joke.
act like you want in a $1 billion company. And the other side of it is that, let's say the designer isn't like that. The idea of the pressure of $1 billion company, if you're not being part of an organization and you understand how internal organizations work and how just the power structures work, then you're kind of in for a big like loggerhead, because it's not about being the creative director or designing things. It's about managing your relationships a lot of the time, especially at that higher of a level. And like,
Yeah.
and you still have to convey your ideas, right? And then there's the whole dog and pony show of, talking to the stylists, or let's not even say you talk to stylists. Let's say you talk to the magazines. You have to talk to the editors. You have to talk to all of these people just to get your things looking proper.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. It's a bit hard to say for a new designer to do that. Wait,
This is exactly what I agree with, by the way. The nature of a conglomerate like LVMH encourages safe bets to the point that they will inevitably become stale. I do agree with that because I think the problem with LVMH is that it becomes harder and harder to get to where you need to be. So designers like Marc Jacobs, they were at the start of the ready to wear. So they had all the freedom in the world. They barely made, like when I say they barely made money, obviously they made money, but compared to now, it wasn't that much. So things were trending upwards always. So it was happy days. Now, just to maintain like the 20 billion in revenue for LV year on year is like impossible. You have to like,
The game's cooked. The
you
game's
have
bro,
to,
cooked.
the
it's
game started
so
being
much more
cooked when they
difficult.
put Pharrell LVMH. I mean LV. That's when the beginning of the end came.
It's so difficult. Like, how do you top that? Like, when all these guys like Marc Jacobs, John Galliano, when they came in at these brands, there was so much scope to grow financially. Now, where these brands are now, it's just like you have to get a big designer just to maintain that. And the second you get a small designer, you're gonna lose your revenues are gonna be down by 5% each quarter.
Okay, I'm gonna say something, and I'm only gonna say it once. I knew the game was finished when I saw these men say, in 5 days, Pharrell will be debuting a collaborative collection with Nigo at Louis Vuitton. I said, yeah, the game's cooked.
Why?
That's wild.
Bro, this
Explain.
nigga is supposed to be working at Kenzo, bro. He has the whole collection to show at another LVMH house, and he has time to be dilly-dallying around with.
And he showed his Kenzo collection a few days later
That's kind of wild. I didn't even deep.
at the same fashion week.
You're absolutely right. I just like, why didn't that clock to me? Because I saw the collab.
Do you know what was even more hilarious? The silhouettes in the Kenzo collection looked exactly like that.
And to top it off,
Like
only
the
these man collaborate.
solution.
Let's make our collaboration self-referential. Let's just reference stuff we've already done before.
Yeah, that part was a bit, bro. I'm like, I understand why people slammed the collection. Honestly,
No, guys, the game's cooked. Like
That was wild.
The game's cooked.
like I've actually tried to defend Pharrell as best as I know how.
I don't think you need to defend him. My verdict with Pharrell is that he makes good bags, but he has no design chops, and that's the end of it. That's just where it ends.
Well, okay. When I say defend, I mean like give him like a fair shake instead of just like trying to like just lambast him like everybody else is. But with this particular collection, it's kind of just like all of the negative criticism is low key kind of deserved in my opinion. Because like,
as far as his design acumen goes, yes.
like why like it's just like even just concept wise, before I even got to the designs, I'm just like looking at the concepts. It's like, bro, you have opportunities to do the biggest things, and then you do the most minuscule, retrospective, almost looking-ish thing. Like, it's doing a retrospective on yourself. As what number collection is he on?
I don't even know.
Three, like, it's
like,
like
no.
three.
If you add the pre-falls and
I
a bit
don't
more
bother,
than
do I?
Okay, but like,
said I don't count.
to me, that's a bit like, that's so egotistical. Like, it's almost as if you just missed like a cultural cue there. How are you doing a retrospective in your second year, let's say, or your third? Let's call it his third year.
To be fair, it's not like it was a retrospective of his stuff at LV. It was a retrospective of his and Nigo's creative output.
It can't be a retrospective at LV because he's been at LV for a year.
Regardless of where the retrospective was birthed from, I think in your third year, that's a bit.
And we're acting like the first collection wasn't self-referential as well. It was a retrospective of his whole career.
No,
and now silhouettes.
It wasn't as bad.
Yeah, at least.
What do you mean?
Like,
have you seen
that first collection? No, bro.
Have you seen the Nigo collection, bro?
Yeah, that first collection. It was just the whole thing was a self-reference.
Bro, wait. Because I understand what you're saying. However, that collection had different concepts, right?
I agree.
And
I think
it was presented.
Oh, you're saying the Nigo one was too homogenous?
I think the Nigo one was way worse. Like the Nigo one was more literally completely self-referential. I don't think the debut collection was that bad.
Yeah, the debut collection wasn't so on the nose. And like even the way that they presented it, like, there was a song and dance. Sorry, not to cut you off, but there was a song and dance about the first collection. Whereas this, it's all, like the way that even promoting it is like they're doing a retrospective.
Right.
Yes, regardless of whether one collection was executed better or worse. What do you mean within like? I'm not including pre-fall. What do you mean within a 4 collection cycle? 2 of them have been self-referential.
Crazy when you put it like that.
Collection. That's nuts.
Micah's not having it.
No, I'm just saying it's a bit wild. Like the game's kind of cooked. And not only self-reference yourself, you had to go get your broski to help you with it. Like
no, but to be fair, Micah, we've said from day one, we've been saying this from day one that Nigo is ghost designing for Pharrell. We've been saying that from day one. So it was actually quite funny. It was almost quite hilarious when he was like, "Oh, I'm doing a collaborative collection with Nigo." Because in my mind, I was like, "That's kind of what you've been doing, no?"
No, it's actually a bit mad.
Especially because they're both designers at LVMH brands. I can imagine that Pharrell is always running stuff by Nigo. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I knew it was the case for time as well because early on, there'd be like bare videos of Pharrell at the atelier and like Nigo and Pusha T would be at the back. And I'd be like, fine. Nigo and Pusha T. And I was like, fine. It's fine if Pusha T's there. Man can make music in his own time. But Nigo, you have your own atelier. You should be like right now. But you're hanging out.
No, okay, I can give him the pass on that because, bro, Virgil Abloh used to be out here DJing at festivals and like doing all this stuff.
But at least,
but he still made amazing collections at LV.
No. But the difference is. I'm just saying, it's not like Virgil was at Givenchy all the time. Givenchy Atelier with Matthew Williams doing like. Right. I'm just saying, and on top of that, everyone was constantly saying, "Oh, Virgil Abloh, yeah, all the design we do is on WhatsApp." Because he travels so much, he's mastered the art of. People are like, I never knew you could be so productive on WhatsApp. That's what people used to say about him. Like, I don't know. I think it's different.
Yeah, and I think I feel to hang out, bro. Michael wants him to have no social
life. I'm just saying it's a bit suspect. And
Michael just wants him to die in the studio.
To be fair to Michael, he is technically the LV customer. So,
like, I'm just saying it's a bit suspect.
Right. On a low, but obviously, I wouldn't say that about Pharrell. I think, that man can do whatever gets their creative juices flowing, fam.
Whatever gets their creative juices flowing. But where are the creative juices?
Oh, bro, that's so tense. That is actually pain. That is pain.
Big pain. What?
I need to take a seat.
Bro, I'm just saying. You know what? I think I'd be less critical if we hadn't seen someone with the exact same resources output much more interesting work, because there's only a handful of positions in the game where you actually have the resources that you do house like Louis Vuitton. And we literally saw someone with the same resources have intricate and intense conversations about blackness and what it means to be a designer.
No. Virgil Abloh, if we're going to be frank, Virgil Abloh makes Pharrell Williams look like an amateur, like someone that is clueless. So if you compare and contrast their collections.
From that to someone that, 50% of the collections they put out so far have been self-referential. It's not even reference to design, it's reference to like personal style. I'm just saying it's a bit odd. And no, I'm not even going as far as AZ is in the comments. Like, I'm not saying I need to see. I don't even think Pharrell needs to be able to cut fabric or anything like that. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I just think it's a bit odd that like we're this late in the game now and you're still doing that. Let me reference my time in Japan 2006, and let me reference the Louis Vuitton Supreme collaboration that Kim Jones did that I wore. And let me come on, like.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I think first of all, I think Pharrell has a very high taste level for starters. I think extremely high taste level, which is why people are saying he's a tastemaker. I definitely agree with that. I just think that Pharrell is creative, obviously, like he's one of the best producers of all time. But there's a different type of creativity to design clothing. It's not the same creativity that you use to produce music that you use to design clothes. And also your frame of reference. Like, I can imagine, because Pharrell is so legendary in music, I do not want to know. Like, if you have a conversation with Pharrell about music, he probably knows everything about everything when everything happened. He can tell you about music from crazy centuries. Like, he can tell you about instruments. He can tell you about intricate things in music. Now, I don't think he has that level of knowledge in fashion, one. Two, he also doesn't have the creativity needed as a designer in fashion. So I think sometimes we see someone like Pharrell who dresses amazing, has a high taste level, one of the greatest producers of all time. I just think, well, he's creative in that, so he can be creative in everything, but that's not how fashion works. And it shows, because with his clothes, he genuinely does not have any ideas. Like, do you know how he goes, like, how he thinks is like, okay, I'm really inspired by Western fashion, so we're going to make this collection Western. Okay, I was really inspired by nautical inspiration, so everything in this collection is just going to be nautical. Like, there's no further depth into it. There's no details. There's no Easter eggs. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's oh, man. The way that this is a frying, bro. Oh, wow.
No, it's just,
I didn't think.
Let's not me of all people. Was I not the most optimistic one here, the three of us?
Actually, you what? To be fair, yeah.
Was I not? I'm just because I don't believe in frying someone off their first two collections because you need time to build. But when we're 4 main collections and 8 to 12 collections deep, if we include pre-fall and all that rubbish, I just thought there would have been more well building by now. That's all.
You know,
more. It doesn't even have to be a conversation that's deep, but just some kind of like clear, structured world.
Ebony says Karl Lagerfeld's collections for Chanel in the 2010s were pretty on the nose as well. You can't compare Pharrell
2010. What decade
to,
of Karl Lagerfeld at
to
Chanel was
Karl
that?
Lagerfeld.
That was
Barely, but yeah, like barely a decade. But you can't compare Karl Lagerfeld.
no, that was
Karl
in his
Lagerfeld
third
built
decade.
his whole world and then got to a point where everything that he was designing sat perfectly in the world that he had already created. That's one. Two, Karl Lagerfeld is one of the most iconic design. Like, Karl Lagerfeld, like, basically revamped Chloe, basically twice. Like, did what he did at Fendi, did what he did at Chanel. Like,
But the reason I like Fendi today is
was
because of
winning
Karl Lagerfeld.
was
That's
winning design competitions when he was younger against like bona fide, like close to couturiers. Like, let's not. I don't think they should ever be mentioned in the same conversation when it comes to fashion. To be fair,
I think just to say my actual Pharrell point, I think Pharrell could or he does have a good lifestyle and he could have a good point of view. However, because he's quite rudimentary in the design process of like doing general referential things, it's quite hard to gather like where he's getting his real ideas from. So, for instance, right, the Western themes, even though there's blackness in it, at the same time, it's just so general that it's almost like a gentrified blackness, as opposed to when Virgil was doing it. There's actual sentiments. Like
Okay.
he picks sentiments out of what he's creating, and that's like my thing with Pharrell. It's like,
and there are layers to when he does it.
of course,
And I think, like, I've
his
seen someone, Ebony, in the comments, like, it's not, you're looking at it at a very surface level approach to what we're saying. Any designer can do themes. Doing themes for your collections is not an issue at all. And none of us are saying that. But the difference is designers and collections that we enjoy and that we think are executed efficiently and effectively, when they do those themes, they fit the theme within the world that they've already created at that house. So when Virgil is looking at like Afro-Westernism and Western themes, he's putting them in the world that he's already, this like playful, whimsical world that he's already built at LV, and continuing conversations he's already having, despite integrating a theme as well. Whereas the Pharrell ones come across as a lot more surface level. That like
This
it
is the
is
perfect
literally
example of the Nigo collection where he was like, oh, he's referencing Japan, and then almost every look was pink to reference like cherry blossom. So
yeah,
that's the problem with Pharrell, because if Virgil Abloh is like, okay, I'm gonna make a Japan themed collection, you know he's gonna do some. There are gonna be Easter eggs there. There'll be stuff you don't catch the first time. You have to read the
bro,
essay show notes. Remember those?
yeah.
exactly.
No,
The 70-page
And
show notes.
he will reference a book that only 17 people have.
Have read that
And
was written by some obscure Japanese writer, but it's actually interesting and it makes sense in the context
yeah,
of the show.
exactly.
Like, it's
Damn,
almost,
bro. Oh,
it also doesn't take a lot of work when you, like, for example, going back to the Nigo show, where it's like, okay, we're inspired by Japan, Sakura, everything's pink. There's just like, how much research is going into that collection then? Zero.
And it's like, if we want to, make the parallels to Karl Lagerfeld for whatever reason, even in these like Egyptian collections, beach collections, cruise ship collections, they still look like Chanel. Let's not play. Like he's already built the world. He's just adding more pieces to it. I can pull out any of those looks, even if you've never seen the collection before. You'll be able to tell me it's a Chanel.
bro,
Whereas
the only
I'm
show
doing like a
know
whip
is
out
Karl
collection.
Lagerfeld. I don't think anyone should even like put Karl Lagerfeld in this conversation.
No, but I'm just replying that comment in it.
Yeah,
because
of
I'm trying
course.
to highlight like the why themes. We're not faulting Pharrell for doing themes. We're faulting Pharrell for doing themes not very effectively,
Yeah,
doing them at a surface level.
yeah. So like, and that's just my thing with Ra. I feel like he thinks sampling is referencing, and referencing is nothing like sampling in music. So
Yeah.
you have to actually have, let's not even call it academic, right? Because I don't want to be like highbrow about it, but you have to create the details of the references, and you have to have a discovery process that goes further than just, yo, this is the time period we're referencing. Because yeah, it's not like I can say, oh, I want to make a disco song So I'm gonna do certain things with the production to make it sound like disco, or a house tune, or even like a grime tune and make it 140 BPM. That doesn't suddenly, make a good reference, you know what I'm saying? But in fashion, it's like you can't just say, oh, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to wear for my class. Because make no mistake, Pharrell is designing for his class. He's not designing for regular people. But at the same time, it's like your class deserves a better taste level than this. Because currently the curation, let's if I'll admit that he doesn't design, and then we say the curation of what he's putting out, it doesn't look like there's a level of value there that people can ascertain just off face value.
What I will say is we're not doing the whole Pharrell isn't good at music thing. Like, I'm sorry, anyone who's trying to say that, just remove yourself from the comments. We're not. We're not. I'm not even entertaining that. I'm so sorry.
I don't even know what was said.
Someone was like, "Oh, potentially Pharrell was a hack in music as well, and maybe that's that
Okay,
part."
you
not
know
sure
what?
about
Let's
all
stop.
that.
Let's stop.
We're gonna draw the line there.
If I thought that, I would say that, but I definitely, certainly don't think that. So
No.
Pharrell is an icon in music.
Bro,
Like,
I don't even we're not even.
it's not even just about production. Like, bro, Pharrell was basically teaching Justin Timberlake what inflections to use, basically teaching him his whole sound. Like, let's not do that.
Yeah, no, sorry. But yeah, like Pharrell just needs to revamp and actually dig deeper in his thought processes, because he does speak quite highbrow, especially in interviews, I can't lie. But what we see in the production of the actual collections doesn't give that.